A TV series that spanned 8, 9 years is an incredibly difficult thing to end. I think not everyone's going to be happy, and you can't please everyone.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. There's been a whole bunch of Lannister-related news between Tyrion, Jaime, and Kit Harington even did an interview talking about the final season. Peter Dinklage also dropped a huge bomb about that Tyrion scene at the end of season 7 when they were on the sex boat. There were so many debates about what was going on his face here and what this meant, but he actually clarified, so we get to break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, we're doing a new round of that 4K Blu-ray giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. This is Peter Dinklage's interpretation of this scene. He was doing this during an interview with Entertainment Weekly recently where he said, "It's complicated. A lot of the time with Tyrion, it's professional and personal. Obviously, he has feelings for Daenerys. He loves her, or he thinks he does. She's awe-inspiring, and he's questioning that inside himself because he doesn't have a good track record of falling in love. We're still wondering where his first wife went." So he goes on to say there's jealousy wrapped up in there. When the episode actually aired, this is the clip that they released with him talking about it, and it's completely different from what he said recently.
It's dangerous for everybody involved. I'm sure it's good for both of them in the moment, but you don't even get the relief of how beautiful it could be or should be. It's not good. But it should be, but it's not. It's Game of Thrones. There's a long history of romance not ending well on this show.
So originally, I think after watching both the finale and then that clip that they released with the finale, most people were on board with the idea that Tyrion wasn't so much sexually upset about this situation like I wanted to be with Daenerys and now Jon Snow is with her. He was more upset about him usurping his influence with Daenerys because she was starting to listen to him more, starting to take more chances with her dragons in order to save him. Like when she got word that Jon Snow was trapped north of the wall and she immediately wanted to take off, Tyrion cautioned her not to go. So this new interview just completely drops a bomb on all that. Like he actually really does feel like he wants to be with Daenerys, and maybe they'll use that for some drama during season 8. I hope that they don't spend too much time on that because that's the least interesting kind of love triangle drama. Like Tyrion was never meant to be with Daenerys in that way. Like we've all talked about the DVD commentary where one of the directors was saying that George R. Martin walking around on season 1's set was saying, oh yeah, all this stuff, this is really important, but it's really about getting Jon Snow and Daenerys together. And that was way back during season 1. So unless you're really deep into your fanfiction, it wasn't like we really expected Tyrion to be with Daenerys in a biblical sense. Let me know in the comments what you actually think about Peter Dinklage's comments about that and how that's going to influence what they do, at least in the first part of season 8, because obviously most of it's going to be dedicated to wrapping up all these character arcs. Separately, a lot of people were wondering about an interview that the visual effects team were doing that mentioned Tyrion, so here's a clip of that.
And then we go, holy shit, how are we going to do this? And then we all sit around and figure out a plan of attack that involves us if it cannot be photographed. If it cannot be photographed, visual effects, we'll figure out a way to add the scope and add the whiz and the bang. And we can't tell you in what episode Tyrion dies.
The funny thing about that is that Tyrion has always been on my survivors list. Like of all the people that you think are gonna die, obviously it's a very long list, Tyrion is not on it because he's that unlikely hero. The way George R. R. Martin has envisioned the character, the way he's written to be, is the most clever of all the characters. So if anyone is gonna survive, it's gonna be Tyrion. But the funny thing is that recently we learned because Nikolai Coster-Waldau is having a lawsuit with one of his old managers, it was revealed that he stars in all 6 episodes of season 8. Remember, there's only 6 episodes in the final season. So all the Lannisters survived till episode 6, which I don't think should come as too much of a shock. I don't even consider it spoilery. Maybe back in season 4 or season 5, when we were trying to guess how these characters would end up, it was always possible that people could die before the finale. But with the way they've structured the last couple of seasons, and the way the TV show has become more like traditional network TV, in that they have a bunch of really good actors, so they want to feature them as much as possible, regardless of what their story is. So they put a bunch of plot armor on them. So that's how you wind up with all of the Lannisters surviving till episode 6. Kit Harington also did an interview recently talking about the final season, saying that he feels like the finale is definitely going to disappoint some people. So here's that clip.
curious about like expectations going into this final season. I mean, do you feel like what you guys have shot can possibly live up to the imagination and the mind of the fans of this show? Is that?
I hope so. Like, I think a TV series that spanned 8-9 years is an incredibly difficult thing to end. I think not everyone's going to be happy, you know, and you can't please everyone. My favourite TV shows are Sopranos and Breaking Bad and The Wire, and they all ended in a way that that you can't. It's never going to satisfy you.
Are you saying this ends in a diner with you guys just sitting in a diner with music?
Yeah, your journey.
I've already done a couple videos about how I think that Jaime and Cersei are going to wind up, because I definitely think that they are going to die. But of all the people that are going to be left to rule in the ashes and help rebuild the kingdom, Tyrion has always been at the top of my list. You know, likely outcomes is that he's left alive to raise Jon Snow and Daenerys' baby if they both wind up dying. So Daenerys would have to survive long enough to at least give birth to that. And even though we don't know exactly how much time is going to pass between the beginning of Season 8 and the end of Season 8, if there's going to be like some giant time jump in that last episode where you have a Lord of the Rings Return of the King style montage where you say, this is what happens to all the characters as you have groups of people, the hobbits, sail off to the Grey Havens. But because of what Kit Harington said, I'm not totally expecting that, and that is a very conventional way to end things, and Game of Thrones has always prided itself on turning conventions on their heads, so I'm not expecting a Sopranos cut to black WTF moment where they just give us all the middle finger and you don't get any definitive ending. I think there'll definitely be an ending, like you'll know exactly who's going to be left alive to survive and try to rebuild the kingdom. But there have been a lot of people associated with the show that have sort of thrown in their theories about how it's going to end. Like the actor that used to play Loras that's playing Iron Fist now, he actually said that he thinks that there's not going to be an Iron Throne anymore and it'll go back to splitting each of the kingdoms up the way it was before Aegon's conquest, which I don't totally agree with, but I do think that Daenerys will wind up winning, like Team Daenerys, because she has Jon Snow and the people of the North. They're destined to defeat Cersei, and even if they decide in the wake of the war to shift to a more democratic system of rule, it'll still largely be the same major houses. Even though House Lannister is effectively devastated, you still have Tyrion. I think the idea, though, is that whoever is left to rule, if Daenerys survives or if she dies in childbirth and someone's left to be regent for her, like Tyrion, until their child is old enough to rule, that it'll just be a little less autocratic. Like they'll do their best to maintain a monarchy, but one that listens to people, tries to work with the other lords a little bit more than, say, Cersei is right now, or say the Mad King did during his reign. One of the bad things I think that's happened the last couple of seasons is that the way they've written Tyrion hasn't been quite as good, so people haven't been focusing on him as an important character. Like last season, it was mostly about Jon Snow meeting Daenerys, them forming that alliance, watching Cersei finally sit on the Iron Throne and start grasping at straws as her power base started to erode around her. Once we get Winds of Winter and we start getting teasers and trailers for Season 8, there'll be a lot more Tyrion stuff to talk about. There's just so much there that they never really get to on the TV show. He's such a dynamic character.
Tyrion just talks, and his tongue is always getting him into trouble.
So just post all your Tyrion finale theories in the comments below. Fire and Ice, congratulations, you're the latest giveaway winner for my last big video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Click here to watch Peter Dinklage talk about the final season, and click here for my Golden Company video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.